With all the racial bias and hatred going on in society, I need to know, did they get the Karmelo Anthony verdict wrong? I mean, I can't say did we get it wrong, because we had no say-so in the outcome. Either way, regardless, there's a deceased 17-year-old white boy and a 17-year-old black boy serving a 35-year sentence for his unaliving. Is it unfair or is it justice? This is something to talk about.
He got his ear to the streets to talk about. So when you hear Shayne Speaks, to talk about. Yeah. There's a new message every week, something to talk about. So when you hear Shayne Speaks, something to talk about.
Before we get into this episode, I'm gonna need you to like, share, and subscribe. What's going on, everybody? What's happening? Welcome to a special episode of Something to Talk About. It's your boy Shayne Speaks. Listen, I don't normally do this kind of content because my style of news is something totally different, as you already know. However, this is an important topic and it affects all of us, children and parents alike. So today I want to talk about a case that has divided people all across this country. A case that has caused more division amongst all of us that share the same air. I mean, we breathe the same air. And the land we reside on is the same. This should never come down to racism, but unfortunately, it does. This is about the case of Karmelo Anthony and the unfortunate events that led to his charges, incarceration, and conviction. Now, before I begin, let me say this. A young man has lost his life. Austin Metcalf. He should still be here. His family is grieving. And nothing I say today is intended to diminish that loss. But there's another question that I think deserves to be asked. Did they get this verdict right? Did a 17-year-old young man get convicted of murder when the facts may have supported self-defense? Now, I know some people are already upset. I already know a lot of people are upset. Some people hear the words self-defense and immediately shut down. But that's exactly why we need to have this conversation. Because see, justice isn't supposed to be based on emotions. Justice is supposed to be based on facts and facts only. From everything that has been reported, everybody agrees on one thing. This confrontation did not begin with a stabbing. It began with an argument. It began with something that escalated. Whether it was an argument or not, it began with something that escalated. Then it became a physical thing. It wasn't physical at first. Some say that some guys walked up. These guys, these young athletes or young men walked up on this young 17-year-old black boy looking for confrontation, looking for a problem. Then it became physical. The evidence presented showed that Austin Metcalf, if I'm pronouncing his name right, excuse me if I'm not, he made physical contact with Karmelo Anthony before the stabbing even occurred. Now let's stop right here real quick. Let's just stop right here. Because see, that fact matters more than any other fact as far as I'm concerned. If someone puts their hands on you, the situation has changed. I know if someone puts their hands on me, the situation changed. Soon as you put your hands on me. The question becomes, what did Karmelo believe was about to happen to him? As far as I'm concerned, this is my thoughts on it, you know. And my thoughts don't have to be facts, but my thoughts on it is that if you put your hands on somebody, then the actions of that individual should be justified. Who are you to say how scared this individual was, how much this person thought that he was in harm's way, in jeopardy of possibly losing his life? How scared was he? How threatened did he feel? And who are you to say that he didn't feel threatened? You can't protect yourself. This case should have been dissected a little better than it was. My honest opinion is that it wasn't fair. It wasn't fair to the young man that's serving all this time in prison today. It wasn't fair to the young boy that got murdered. It wasn't fair to his family. It wasn't fair to the family of the young man that was convicted. However, there is something called accountability. And yes, young Karmelo Anthony has to be held accountable for his actions. But does that not ring the same for Metcalf? Is that his name again? Does that not ring the same for him? He had to be held accountable as well. Right? Austin, yeah, he had to be held accountable as well for his actions. Him and his group of friends that decided they wanted to harass and physically harm young Karmelo. Like I said, if someone puts their hands on you, the situation has changed. The question becomes, what did Karmelo believe was about to happen to him? Not what we know now, not what we know after watching news reports, not what people think sitting comfortably at home. Because see, people are sitting comfortably at home looking at these reports, looking at what happened, taking the news that they're seeing on YouTube, and they're coming with their own conclusion. But they're comfortable, they're at home. This is entertainment to them. What did a 17-year-old believe in that moment? Because self-defense cases are often decided in seconds. Jurors get days and weeks to analyze a situation. The actual person involved gets seconds. We are asking a teenager to make a perfect decision under immense pressure, while adults get months and years to critique it afterwards. That doesn't seem entirely fair to me at all. And see, here's another thing. A lot of people keep saying Austin was unarmed. And that may be true. He was unarmed. That's what the evidence supposedly show. But being unarmed does not automatically mean someone isn't a threat. This kid, Austin, he was about 200 and something pounds. He was a big athletic type dude, a threatening figure. Austin looked like he was 22. Listen, man, every year people are seriously injured or killed in fistfights. This is a fact. They hit their head, they fall, hit their head on the concrete, all types of things. I mean, this is every year. All it takes is one punch, and that can change your life forever. So the real question isn't whether Austin had a weapon or not. Not at all. The real question is whether Karmelo reasonably believed he was in danger. That's the question. Because if a person feels threatened, is physically confronted, and believes things are escalating, should we completely dismiss the possibility of self-defense? Or should there at least be reasonable doubt? At the least, reasonable doubt. This boy was convicted of first-degree murder. And it's videotaped evidence that he never approached these guys. They approached him. They confronted him. He was in his phone, sitting on the bleachers. So my issue is that he didn't have the proper representation. It's almost like he was set up. That's what I feel. That's just my theory. That's just what I feel. You know, I also struggle with how quickly people choose sides. You know, the moment this case became public, so many people had already made up their minds. Some saw a murderer. Our people, they call them YNs. There's plenty of them out there. But was Karmelo one of those young, wild dudes running around causing problems with firearms, with big knives? Was he trying to harm people? Was he robbing? Was he stealing? What was he doing? Was he on that field in them bleachers looking to cause some trouble? Looking to cause problems? Who was looking to cause problems? Who was looking to cause trouble? Because see, there is a difference. Intent, that matters. Fear matters. The context matters. And if we're going to be honest, we have to ask whether the jury gave enough weight to those factors. Now, I'm not saying Karmelo was perfect. He does have to pay the consequences to his actions. I'm not saying every decision he made was right. I'm not saying there shouldn't be accountability. What I'm saying is that I understand why some people believe self-defense should have been taken more seriously. I believe it. I understand why some people believe reasonable doubt existed. I believe that. And I understand why this verdict continues to spark debate and outrage. Because see, when a young person makes a split-second decision during a confrontation, we have to be careful about judging that person's decision, that child's decision, as though they had unlimited time to think. No, he ain't have unlimited time to think. That's not how real life works. Too many young people are carrying anger. But was Karmelo angry? Was he? Too many young people are carrying fear today, you know, and too many young people are carrying weapons today, you know. So, like, do you blame a person for reacting in the way they react when someone is trying to harm, when they feel like someone is trying to harm them? It's like a danger signal go off in your head. Isn't it a signal that goes off in your head to protect yourself? To protect yourself from imminent danger. You don't know what someone has. You don't know what weapon someone has. Karmelo could have felt threatened. He could have felt like his life was in danger. And who are you to say that he didn't feel that way? You know, too many situations that should end with an argument seems to end with a funeral. That's the tragedy here. A young life lost. That boy shouldn't have lost his life. Nah, not at all. I don't care what color he is. He shouldn't have lost his life. Another young life likely spending decades behind bars. It shouldn't be that way. You know, 2 families is devastated. 2 futures are destroyed. Nobody truly won anything. But I still believe the question is worth asking. Did they get this verdict wrong? Or did they get it right? Or did we fail to fully understand what a frightened 17-year-old believed in the most important seconds of his life? I think that is a horrible situation for both families, for both individuals. One that's no longer with us, and the other one that is going to spend the majority of his life behind bars. Mostly all of his adulthood will be behind bars. We have to show our children that we have to show our kids the difference between right and wrong. You know, we have to teach them that accountability. Listen, you do something, you're going to have to pay the consequences. You're going to be held accountable for whatever actions you take. So think about those actions before you take them. We got to teach them this stuff. Emotional intelligence, we got to teach that as well. Don't get so emotional that you end up doing something to someone that you're going to regret for the rest of your life. You know? Or possibly not even be here anymore. These are things that's very important. These are things that we got to discuss. And this is something to talk about. It's your boy Shayne Speaks. Peace. This is a TFN TV public service announcement. Welcome back to another episode of Something to Talk About. This is your boy Shayne Speaks. And this is part 2 to episode 16. Yes, indeed, this is part 2 to episode 16. And listen, if you watched the first part, then you already know. I asked a question that a lot of people may not be comfortable asking. Nevertheless, most of us are asking the question. Did they get the Karmelo Anthony verdict wrong? Now look, since that discussion, something important has taken place. First of all, a new legal team has stepped up for Karmelo. And it's not just one attorney. It's an entirely new legal team. The Avengers of attorneys, if I might add. Listen, we're talking about civil rights attorneys. We're talking about appellate attorneys. You know, attorneys that choose to take a second look at this case. Get the facts. Get all of the facts. If you got to ask, why would accomplished attorneys volunteer their time and resources to review a case that is already believed to be settled? Then maybe you haven't been paying attention. Look, it's totally possible that the conviction stands exactly where it is. It's possible. But maybe there are questions that deserve another look. One thing I've learned over my years is that a verdict is not, in fact, it's never always the end of the story. Sometimes it's only the beginning of a much deeper conversation. See, there's a difference between guilt and legal error. And I honestly believe it was some legal error going on here. I mean, Ray Charles could see that. Stevie Wonder could see that. You know, there's a difference between what people believe happened and what really happened. Whether a trial was conducted exactly the way it should have been, or if there was a miscarriage of justice. And that's what appeals are all about. An appeal isn't about retrying emotions and theories. An appeal isn't about social media opinions. An appeal is about asking the important questions and getting the correct answers. Did the process work the way it was supposed to work? Were all the constitutional rights protected? Were all of the constitutional rights protected? Was every piece of evidence handled properly? Did the jury receive the correct instructions on how to handle this, on how to deal with this? Were there errors significant enough to affect the outcome of this case? Because see, Karmelo Anthony is a 17-year-old child. His life is on the line. It's on the line. This ain't no punishment. This ain't no punishment for a couple of weeks. Can't go outside for a couple of weeks. Get a little bit of discipline. No, this is different. This is different than being grounded or expelled from school. No, this is totally different. There are serious questions that need to be asked and answered. Questions that matter. Especially when we're talking about decades of someone's life. A child at that. Now let's be honest. Most people had already chosen a side long before the verdict was even announced. Way before the verdict was read. Some people believed Karmelo was guilty the moment they heard about the stabbing. Others believed he was acting in self-defense. Like me, I believe he was acting in self-defense, but it's not about my belief. Justice isn't supposed to work like that. Justice doesn't work like that. You know, it's not supposed to. Justice shouldn't work according to what I believe, according to what I feel, or according to what you feel. It shouldn't be predicated upon someone's emotions. Only facts. Only facts. You know, justice is supposed to be way bigger than what we think happened. It's supposed to be way bigger than our little emotions. You know, the way we feel about something. Feelings change all the time. All the time. All right. And emotions isn't dealing with things from an intellectual standpoint. It's dealing with things from the heart. When you are emotional about something, emotions can harm you. Emotions could put you away for life. Emotions can take you out of here. Emotions you can ruin a career. You can ruin your career just by reacting off of your emotions. We can't convict this child based on our emotions. It has to be based on fact. You know, we have a lot of politics going on. A lot of politics happening. You know, we have a lot of racial injustices going on. This is affecting our youth. We have a lot of hatred happening between our youth. White, black, Asian, it don't matter. It don't matter the race. It don't matter the creed. It don't matter. We judge one another because, you know, we're all human, right? So we judge one another, man. I mean, it's not always just racial. You know, it's our political differences. It's our religious beliefs, our religious differences. It's everyone for themselves. It's everybody. It's almost like team versus team. You know, it's like a battle. It's like a battle of the differences. But the facts should always remain and be true, because the facts are the truth. And that's what we should always base our decision making on, right? Shouldn't have nothing to do with race. Shouldn't have nothing to do with religion. Shouldn't have nothing to do with politics. The process should matter more than skin color and more than all them other things that really have no place, really has no place in the legal justice system. And if a new legal team believes there are things worth examining, then I think this is a good thing. Because now we're going to get to the truth. Now we're going to get to the facts. And it's not because we're looking for excuses. It's not because we're looking for loopholes. But because fairness truly matters. Let me ask you something. If your son was facing decades in prison, wouldn't you want every possible legal issue reviewed? Wouldn't you want every question answered? Wouldn't you want to know that every constitutional protection was honored? Most people would. Most people, I know I would. And see, that's why appeals exist. It's not to excuse the wrongdoing. It's to make sure justice was done correctly. Now, here's where this conversation becomes bigger than Karmelo Anthony. Because, see, this case has exposed something about America that most of us have always been aware of. Like the fact that we are racially divided and have been forever. How most of us don't know how to discuss difficult issues without immediately choosing a side. This is something that's been going on forever. Forever. It's always them against us against them, they against they. Like I said before, everything becomes team versus team, race versus race, belief versus belief, opinion versus opinion. But real critical thinking, see, that requires us to sit in uncomfortable spaces and ask uncomfortable questions to get the uncomfortable truth, to examine all sides of an issue, even when those questions make people uncomfortable. And that's exactly what this case has done. Whether you believe Karmelo acted in self-defense or not, the appeal process is going to force people to revisit the facts. And that's a good thing. Because justice should never be afraid of scrutiny. If the verdict is correct, scrutiny will strengthen it. It will be strong. Right? The verdict will be stronger once scrutinized. If mistakes were made, scrutiny will expose it. So if they didn't do what they were supposed to do, if it was an error made, then when it's scrutinized, then it'll be exposed. The mistakes will be exposed. This is why we need this. We need this. Either way, the truth will be revealed. It will be revealed. And see, that's the lesson here. Not whether you're pro Karmelo, not whether you're anti Karmelo, but whether you're willing to keep it real when it matters. Because critical thinking don't end when the verdict is read. That's only when it begins. Anyway, I'm praying for the young Karmelo Anthony. I'm praying for his family. You know, I even pray for the young man that was unalived, and for his family, because they're going through a lot as well right now. Everyone's going through a lot. The whole country is going through a lot. We're all going through a lot. It's a lot happening. Anyway, it's your boy Shayne Speaks. Something to talk about.